Yes, guys, what's going on? So, I wasn't going to do a post-fight analysis because I'm currently on my travels and don't have my camera on me. But I thought to myself, you know what? Let me just pump some content out. It's better than not pumping it. So, I thought I'd record a quick audio. And I watched this fight between Anthony Joshua and Robert Helenius. And bearing in mind that Helenius has been knocked out by Deontay Wilder, so to be knocked out in a one-punch fashion like that again is not a massive surprise. I think looking at this fight, it was more of a check to see if Anthony Joshua has any psychological scars left. If you look at the other video I've done on Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, I talk about the psychological impact of the Andy Ruiz 2 loss and then the implications that Usyk has had on him. Because Usyk hurt him in the first fight and then he outboxed him in the second fight, and it's had more of an impact than I expected following the loss, because it's very clear here that Anthony Joshua is apprehensive when he's fighting his opponents. We can't see any inside fighting. We're not seeing any commitment from the right hand. It's like he's fearful to get punched, which is bizarre because he's had two Usyk fights, and I didn't see this apprehension in the Usyk fight, not in the rematch. But he's had some psychological damages, Anthony Joshua, and I do feel sorry for him. Boxing's a very hard sport, and it's unforgiving, and the fans are even more unforgiving. And I feel for Joshua because he's struggling. He's struggling with the mental aspect of boxing, and boxing's a tough sport. I just feel like fighters like Anthony Joshua, he's an overthinker. He is an overthinker. It goes without saying. And I'm going to break down the fight and its technical aspects in a moment. But if he wants to fight Deontay Wilder towards the back end of the year, he can't be fighting like this. He needs to be at his best. And for him to be at his best, he has to be willing to take chances. And in a fight against Deontay Wilder, you got to take that chance. And maybe this wasn't the fight to do it. Maybe it is better to box and be cautious and get the win in the fashion he did in this fight. But I mean, really in boxing, I talked about on Twitter that sometimes it's about the psychological component in boxing. And I would say that's actually the vast majority of the time. It's about 80% of the time, boxing is a psychological element, the brain. But occasionally, what happens is your physical gifts can overcome your psychological defects. And Anthony Joshua demonstrated that today, because when he threw that right hand, it was his physical, natural, genetic gift that allowed him to knock out Robert Helenius. Everything leading up to that for me was a lesser Anthony Joshua than what we've seen in the ring in the past. And I'll explain what I mean by this. Well, he had a better jab. And we're going to go into the breakdown. He had a better jab. I liked his jab. I liked his footwork. I liked his cautious nature on the outside. He was very cute, was AJ, as he was boxing. He was ducking down low. He was getting hit with the jab quite a bit. And his style of boxing was very strange to me, because I'm surprised Derek James teaches like that. Like he's teaching AJ like that, because we don't see this from Errol Spence. We don't see that same head movement, level changing from Errol Spence as much as we saw with AJ, which is quite bizarre to me. But we saw there, AJ was trying to use angles, and it was working. The boxing was working. He was boxing well behind the jab. But my issue was that he was throwing punches from the outside, and Derek James has been teaching AJ to fight from the outside. What I don't like about Derek James, and it's becoming more and more apparent, is that his fighters, including Errol Spence when he went up against Crawford, are not the best inside fighters. Errol Spence has a very good body shot, but apparently, from what I heard, maybe I'm standing correct here, if somebody could correct me, but he learned that in a Mexican gym off a Mexican coach, the body shots. Anthony Joshua's inside fightings was completely non-existent in this fight. It didn't exist, I didn't see the body shots. I didn't see the inside fighting. If there were body shots, it was a right hand to the body or a jab to the body. I can't remember if there was a jab to the body, but I remember the straight right hand to the body, all at distance. And Anthony Joshua is only fighting at a distance. But the problem with that is, why are you giving up your main asset, which is your strength and your size? I want to go back to a fight which Anthony Joshua had against Molina. And when you look at that fight, AJ was rough on the inside, and he's a physical being as AJ. So he doesn't need to fight on the outside consistently like this. I feel like fighters like Deontay are best on the outside because he's rangy, skinny, quick, powerful. But he doesn't have the strength of AJ. And Anthony Joshua, he has a natural instinct to fight on the inside. And the reason for that is because when AJ was coming up in boxing when he was very young, when he was new to the sport, he looked up a lot to Mike Tyson. So he would practice inside fighting a lot. So it's naturally within his being, it's within his DNA now to box on the inside. But he's fighting against his instinct. And that's the problem with overthinking, because the brain is a very complex tool. And I would argue that the brain, the human brain, is self-destructive. Think about it, right? We destroy ourselves every day. When we have a chocolate bar, you're killing every other cell in your body for the brain, because your brain wants some dopamine hits and it wants that craving. Because it's not even your tongue, right? Your tongue sends signals to your brain. It's your brain that does that. So the brain is actually self-destructive. And when people go through a hard time, it's the brain that tells them that to kill themselves. So my point here is, Anthony Joshua's brain is working against him because it's working overtime and it's overthinking. He needs to simplify the game. It's a game of boxing. You need to punch, you need to knock the opponent out, and that needs to be his objective. Now, of course, it's not as simple as that. There is some boxing knowledge that goes into it. But to be a thinking fighter is not for everybody, especially not for fighters who have physical gifts. Fighters with physical gifts need to use their physical gifts. And this is why I say fighters like Floyd were once in a generation fight. He was a once in a generation fighter. Anthony Joshua, by overthinking, overanalyzing, he's essentially taking away from his gifts, which are his strength, his punching power. And I would say they're the two main components that Anthony Joshua has always had. He's been a phenomenal inside fighter. Okay, you got knocked out by Ruiz, but so what? Get knocked out again, go again. Get knocked out, go again. And he needs to develop that mentality of fight, lose, go again. Fight, lose, go again. If it happens to you, go again. But you can't be so apprehensive that you're scared to fight on the inside, because this is what's happened. He's scared to lose because he doesn't want to go back into the place of where he was when he lost in the Usyk rematch and rebuild. He has psychological scars there. Deontay doesn't have that. He's oblivious to this. He doesn't overthink. He's oblivious to this. And he's learning how to box, but he doesn't have the psychological damage of AJ. And for me, watching Joshua eat them jabs by Helenius, watching Joshua struggle to pull the trigger when Helenius was on the ropes ready to be attacked, showed to me that Joshua was apprehensive. And I'll be honest with you, that right hand that eventually landed, it means nothing, because Deontay Wilder is a different breed of a fighter. He's not going to go down with a single right hand like that. People talk shit about, oh, if that lands on Wilder's face. I don't think so. I don't think Wilder's got a glass chin like that. When you go to the upper threshold of boxing, to the elite of the elite, which Wilder is, you don't get them opponents out of there in one punch. And for me, AJ's a great fighter, but he has to somehow overcome his psychological scars. And he needs to do it in that squared circle in front of a live opponent before Wilder. And if he doesn't, it's going to be a difficult night against Wilder when that fight comes across. And I think it's happening in January, they're targeting now. So look, I wish AJ all the best, and the reason I'm saying all this is because I am a massive AJ fan, and I would like to see people achieve to the maximum capacity that they have. And I feel like in boxing, fighters evolve, and sometimes they evolve in a way which is good in one way and then bad in another. And I feel like AJ is becoming a testament to that. He has definitely removed his inside fighting. I don't know where the uppercut's gone. I don't know where the right hooks have gone. I don't know where the inside combination punching which beat Klitschko. I don't know where all that is gone. And it's very sad to see because I'm itching to I mean, he's still fighting, he's in the ring. Why not bring out that beast, what made Anthony Joshua? Anthony Joshua, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I mean, there were areas he needed to tweak, but this is a completely new Anthony Joshua, and I'm just not sold on it. I mean, it's all good working behind the jab, and I like his outside boxing, it's great. But Anthony, you need to use your inside fighting, man. Throw that uppercut. Helenius was there for it. He's a taller fighter. He was there for a loaded Anthony Joshua uppercut. You know, like, I remember the old AJ who would absolutely annihilate opponents by sheer power and size, and I don't know where that's gone. It's bizarre to me because AJ hasn't been knocked out coming in like this. He got knocked out with a left. It wasn't even a knockout. He got dropped by Andy Ruiz with what I remember to be an inside left hook. So why is he hesitating to throw the right hand coming in? And the Ruiz fight was quite a long while ago, and people talk like he needs to get his mojo back and this and that, but he's had a number of fights since the Andy Ruiz first fight. He's had many fights since then, and he's had knockout wins, and he fought Pulev. And I'm not buying this story that AJ needs more rebuilding to get his psychological confidence back, and this was a rebuilding fight. I think he needs another fight, definitely, right? It will get him better, but I don't think that's going to completely fix him. I think he has to fix himself, and this was the fight to show us it, because he fought Jermaine Franklin and he didn't get the knockout there either. He was apprehensive, and this has just proven it. I wasn't one to call him out. I said, give him a chance. Maybe he just boxed Franklin because Franklin's a shorter fighter. He's now faced Robert Helenius, who was a taller fighter, and this was the perfect opponent for Anthony Joshua to do that inside fighting on, and he didn't do it. For me, Anthony Joshua is one of very few fighters in the heavyweight division with the size that he has to be able to inside fight. He needs to inside box. He needs to throw. He needs to watch some Mike Tyson, and he needs to inside fight. I don't even feel like he inside fought properly against Usyk, but Usyk's got phenomenal footwork. I don't understand for the life of me why he did not attack Helenius' body with hooks, why he didn't box on the inside, why he didn't make it rough on the inside, why he didn't wrestle Helenius. These things are very bizarre to me, and I think that I can only blame one person, and that is Derrick James. I think Derrick James has a very large part to play in this. I think Derrick James is teaching him the outside boxing, but I mean, as a coach, you shouldn't have gaps in your game. You shouldn't have obsessions, with what Derrick James does. He has an obsession with outside fighting, an excellent jab. And I mean, these are really good tools which are being added to AJ's arsenal. But if you're adding that to his arsenal, but you're not focusing on his inside fighting, then you're taking away from his true nature, from his best asset, which is his power, his precision, his speed as well. Because Anthony, when he throws on the inside, he throws with conviction, speed, and power. And we just haven't seen that. And I miss it because AJ is a fantastic fighter, and I just want to see him do great. And I feel like against someone like Deontay Wilder, who's not a very good inside fighter, never will be, why would you give up your main asset? Because AJ has the ability to be able to throw combinations on the inside, right hook, right uppercut. And Deontay Wilder will struggle with them punches. He will struggle with the power, with the speed, with the precision. He will not struggle with this boxing because he will basically catch AJ coming in with the right hand. And all it will take is one right hand. And let me tell you, Deontay Wilder's delivery mechanism is superb. He will confuse AJ and land it. If Robert Helenius was landing that jab, Trust me, Wilder will land the right hand. It's a very sharp sniper, quick right hand, and he's an expert at landing it. He's an expert at disguising it, and he's an expert at delivering it. And he will deliver the sniper-like right hand to Anthony Joshua's head or his chin. And either one will put Anthony Joshua's lights out. For me, this was a lackluster performance from Anthony Joshua. I've got to be honest. I think he's a fantastic fighter, but comparing AJ to AJ, because you shouldn't compare it to anybody else, he is no longer as good as he once was, and he has to get out of his own way. It's easier said than done. This is the thing. I feel sorry for him because it's easier said than done, because he has psychological marks on him. The psychological imprints that have been left by Andrew Ruiz and the two Usyk losses are hindering him from his performance. I feel like it is also Eddie Hearn's job to ensure he builds back AJ and doesn't throw him in the deep end to the Sharks too quickly. I feel like Anthony Joshua needs another fight this year. Then January go again against Deontay Wilder. I think he needs a decent opponent, someone on the level of Robert Helenius, and I feel like he needs a nice knockout to win, and he needs to inside fight, and Anthony Joshua has to try. He's got to be willing to try to fight on the inside, be willing to take the chances, be willing to take the risks. I know it's easier said than done, but there is no other option for AJ. If he wants to be a successful fighter, he wants to challenge Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, and let me say something that I feel like AJ of old would have given Tyson Fury a run for his money, because Fury would have struggled on the inside with AJ. Without that, what is Anthony Joshua? A slight boxer from the outside who's not very effective as well. He's not the best boxer. So what is he? And this is the problem. You're not an expert outside fighter. You're a good outside fighter. You can outside fight. But when that's not working, you have to be willing to adjust your game plan and go on the inside and finish the fight off on the inside. And if you've lost the outside game, what do? You have to switch on the inside. And if you don't do that anymore, what are you going to do? Just let the opponent beat you on the outside, whether it's by an outside knockout or whether it's outboxing you. Are you not going to go on the inside and fight on the inside like he should have done against Usyk in the second fight? Bizarre performance to me, and I feel like AJ has a lot of improvements to make. I feel sorry for him because the truth is, what I'm saying is to improve psychologically, and that's an ask. That is really a big ask. To ask someone to do something different physically is a lot easier through drills and game planning than it is to change and improve a fighter's confidence and mental fortitude. Take it easy on AJ, guys. Don't go hard on him. I feel sorry for the guy. He's given it his best. He's given the sport everything. And you may not like certain things that he does or says, but take it easy on the guy. I feel like he's doing his best. He's evolving and he's trying to overcome his mental scars. And I feel like he's been a great servant to British boxing. And I wish him all the best. And I hope he comes back stronger after this fight. I hope he has another fight. And then goes on to face Deontay Wilder. AJ's given us some great happiness, some great nights. Don't forget them nights. Don't forget that night against Klitschko. Don't forget the nights that he's given us where he scored these vicious knockouts. And don't forget the nights where he's lost as well against Usyk. Remember them nights when you were with your mates, or with your friends, or you were watching with your missus or by yourself, or wherever you're watching them fights, enjoying it. Just remember them fights, with your family, your friends. Remember them great nights Anthony Joshua gave you. And yeah, he's making a lot of money off it, but he's still a human, and money doesn't always buy success and happiness. And we're all fairly comfortable, right? Like in the West watching this, if you are in the United Kingdom, the United States, or Europe generally, you're living with a roof over your head in comfort the same way AJ is. And I bet many of you are not fully happy with your lives, with different problems that you've got going on, and some are worse than others. And I feel like take it easy, because money doesn't necessarily buy happiness. Yes, he's hyper successful with one aspect of his life, which is finances. I don't know what the other aspects of his life are, but you need to take it easy on the guy, because he has had psychological trauma take place with them losses. And I don't think people understand the psychological trauma that takes place after a loss. And I talk about this in the video with Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua. I talk about this. The psychological imprint that the loss has on a person is so severe that it can carry over into the latter stages of your life. And I feel like Anthony Joshua's loss to Ruiz and the loss against Usyk in the second fight has had a massive implication, because let me explain like this. When Anthony Joshua lost the fight against Usyk in the second fight. For him, in his brain, in his world, he felt like he was going to win. He felt, that he was destined for it. He felt that he was built for it. And then he didn't, which completely distorted his worldview. When you have your complete worldview distorted, the brain tries to protect itself in this mechanism that it goes into a denial phase, and then you struggle to make sense of what is reality and what isn't reality, because in your reality, in your head, you were going to win that fight against Usyk in the rematch. You don't win it. So what does that mean? It means your reality is not real. And these are just a slight touch, a slight drop in the ocean of the psychological damage that Anthony Joshua has suffered. And I think it's showing in front of the world in these fights. I just think when he goes against somebody like Deontay Wilder, who doesn't think like this, who doesn't think this deep, and is just a killer in that ring and believes in himself, it doesn't matter how much Anthony Joshua learns, he will not be able to beat a fighter like that. Let me know what you guys think. Subscribe to the channel. And make sure you follow him both channels. Follow Be Real TV, which is where the podcasts are, and follow Be Real Boxing, is where we're doing full boxing content, and there's a lot more upcoming as well. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave your comments in the section below. Let me know what you think of Anthony Joshua's performance, and let me know what you think about the Deontay Wilder fight, which is inevitably going to take place in December or January. I just hope there's another fight on the back of it. And I think the way Anthony Joshua left the ring and the way he kind of avoided that question about Wilder shows to me an indication that he wants more fights under his belt, and it gives you a chance to cash out as well, make a bit of extra change on the way to the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, which is Deontay Wilder. Right, guys, and then I'll tell you something else as well. There's going to be a rematch clause in that one as well. It's going to be a big fight. I've wanted to see it for a very long time. But let me know your thoughts on the Anthony Joshua right-hander, the knockout win, and his performance leading up to that knockout win. And yeah, comment on the different points that I've left on this video, and let me know your thoughts, whether you agree or disagree. But above all, whether you agree or disagree, make sure you subscribe to Be Real Boxing.